This is not how I imagined my first day.
Most people's vision and version of Resident Evil 2 would be a very starry-eyed and very glamorous one, with nothing but extravagant and beautiful trailers, gameplay, and magnificent things that have been shown. But Residents of Evil may have a little bit of a different story to tell. Recent events may have changed perceptions, and maybe even the course of where things may be directing. So let's get into this video and what has actually happened, because as many people may be aware, recently Residents of Evil was copyright striked for sharing the Ada Wong leak, which hilariously was speculation at the time, but has been confirmed to be a leak by the actual copyright strike from Capcom. One cannot actually lose appreciation of the irony in that situation, and I don't think this situation is comical enough in that regard. But it's not comical for Residents of Evil, as he currently now has one strike and also a lot of fears and proceedings that now have to be undertaken. So let's look into this. What is now going to happen to Residents of Evil's channel? What proceedings can he actually take, and what actual legal position is he currently in? These are all good questions. So firstly, after receiving a strike, which I may elaborate anybody can make, and of course this is from Capcom, this one, but anybody can make them. I just want to say that a random 12 sub 11-year-old child could literally claim and have the same thing happen to Residents of Evil's video that Capcom did. So just having the video striked does not mean Residents of Evil is actually infringing on copyright. It just means YouTube's terrible system has been used once again, and that no moral or legal judgments can actually be currently made. If an 11-year-old can claim ownership over the Fortnite IP on YouTube, then an 11-year-old can make a copyright strike, and thus the actual system is obviously flawed, terrible, and needs massive improvements. No judge and no proceedings were handled, and so at the moment this is actually a private dispute. All you really need to actually make a copyright dispute is a company, a YouTube, and a digital signature. The actual requirements and regulations over it are abysmal, and thus again I really wouldn't be judging that Residents of Evil is in any legal trouble. But even if he was copyright infringing, the video has been taken down, and thus due to it being handled out of court and no disputes being made, Capcom cannot take any further action. However, was Residents of Evil in the wrong for uploading the video, or was it considered fair use? And where can Residents of Evil actually proceed? Now, as we already said, if it wasn't covered and wasn't fair use, Residents of Evil could just proceed by ignoring this and carrying on, because Capcom has handled this out of court, and that will just be that. YouTube's system will still allow him monetization unless he manages to strike another 2 times, but other than that, honestly, there isn't any major damage, and that strike should disappear within 6 months. However, it is still irritating. But is Residents of Evil in the wrong? Actually, I would argue the opposite, that he's not in the wrong, that he is completely right to have made the video and is completely covered under Western journalism protections and laws. There have been many precedents, and also this is specifically stated as transformative and also reviewing content that is there to benefit the public, all of which are very much protected under fair use in the Western world. It is irrelevant whether a document or information or story is public or private knowledge for a journalist to report on it, and the entire point of journalists in the West is to find out knowledge that isn't publicly reported yet, because if it was only that publicly reported content that could be reported on by journalists, this would mean that Capcom and all other corporations would be able to have a monopoly on released information, and of course monopolies on information and news are seen as very much anti-democracy in the West, and especially the USA, which is the country where the court case would be handled. And of course Capcom would then have to make an argument against Western journalism as a whole and somehow hope a judge is going to create an actual legal precedent that could be then used against other journalists, which of course is not going to happen. And thus the best course of action would of course be appealing and hoping through private negotiation that Capcom will honestly talk to an actual lawyer, which I very much doubt they consulted one during this decision, as it seems like a very emotional and impulsive one. And after contacting a lawyer, which will hopefully happen if Residents of Evil makes an appeal, they'll see that they have no actual grounds to make the claim, and they'll just back off and give Residents of Evil, under a legal perspective, the copyright claim back to his own video, and Capcom will release that, and basically everything's been handled privately, everyone is back to being happy, and everyone goes back to doing what they want to do, and nobody suffers any consequences. This would seem like the best approach for all parties included. But Residents of Evil does have every right to take Capcom to court at this point. Once you've made a copyright claim over somebody else's content, you can't just receive that claim at any point. You can then be counterfiled against in a court of law, which is going to happen if things escalate. So again, I would just advise that everybody included try to handle this in a private resolution, as they are the most cost and stress free, and these things can take a lot of time to resolve. Now if it does get to the point this is taken to a court of law, things will get interesting. Depending on the outcome of the dispute and the judge's review, of course damages and compensation will have to be awarded to the winner of the dispute. However, with Residents of Evil having the overwhelming advantage in this case, even if he won, this would obviously strike a damaging blow between the actual relationships of both parties involved, and especially considering the team behind Residents of Evil has been actively contributing to the Capcom community, has made additional sales for the game, and basically worked as an unpaid marketing department for the entire company, and allowing them much larger and much broader attention and diversity from different demographics. Now to actually create a damaging relationship against somebody, that's basically slapping the hand that's trying to feed you. I don't know who got emotional or impulsive. Sure, it sucks that leaks happen. The Ada picture, they probably had some intentions with Ada later on, hence why they shadowed her out, and it sucks to surprise or whatever they had planned is not going to come to fruition. However, it was public knowledge. Residents of Evil didn't leak it. Even if he did, he had every right to, as he signed no contracts or documents. And honestly, the mature way to deal with this would be to look at yourself as an employer and wonder, how can you handle this situation better in the future, and how can you prevent leaks from happening again? What is the psychological root and cause of employees leaking? And another note would be, how could obviously security within the company be improved, because if leaks are happening freely here and there for every single project that seems to be coming out lately, there needs to be some improvements to security. There's absolutely no way to stop developers talking and releasing information, of course, about your games. However, limiting the amount files can be shared, downloaded, and accessed would definitely improve security a hell of a lot, which Capcom obviously seems to be lacking. They then seem to be projecting these stresses and frustrations onto YouTubers and other content creators with absolutely no legal right to do so in the first place, because unlike their playtesters, developers, management team, and everybody else involved, we didn't sign any contracts, we didn't sign any NDAs, we didn't sign anything before we went to any event. And why do you have to sign the little document that says, hey, you're not allowed to show this imagery, gameplay, or talk about it if you're already not allowed to talk about it? Like, if Capcom is going to DMCA Residents of Evil for showing and talking about an image, why do they make the press sign contracts to do exactly what they want Residents of Evil to do? Because they don't have any legal right to do that without making somebody sign a contract in the first place, which Residents of Evil never signed. Again, there's a much more mature way to handle all of this, and it would be to reflect in the mirror as a corporation rather than to project outwards. I have also kept the Ada video myself up, and I will be continuing to do so and taking a firm stance. I definitely won't be giving in to corporate bullying. These moral stances need to be made in this industry, an industry plagued by corporate corruption, monopolies, falsification of information, made up stories, drama, as well as lots of other very juicy stories and events. However, The thing is, Residents of Evil is in a very tricky position now, regardless of whether he's in the right or wrong. As I said earlier in the video, these legal proceedings can take a lot of time and money, and as well as emotional stress, psychological health, and other things. And considering that Residents of Evil is not just a channel, the team behind it has been contributing to the community before the channel even existed, it just really seems like a big slap on the face to the community as a whole, not just to Residents of Evil's channel or the team behind it and the efforts included in the channel itself, because their history is so much more than just that. If you have enjoyed the video, or if you have been educated, please do leave a like, a share, or a subscribe. If you do want to support the content in a little bit more of an impactful way, there will be a link in the description and in a comment to my Patreon which you can donate to, and this will help fund the journalism, investigation, and also opinion pieces that I like to throw out. I hope you're having a beautiful day. As always though, take it easy and peace.